Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of What's the Word. Today is Friday, June 26th, 2020, and the word comes from 1 Peter 4:10 out of the Amplified Version. Just as each one of you has received a special gift, employ it in serving one another as good stewards of God's multifaceted grace. As you've probably already recognized, we've got a new setup for you today. And if you hear running water, it's just the fish tank vibes in the back. But let's get straight to it. Most of the information that I'm going to discuss has already been out there for the public. I just want to give you guys my take on it. So, getting started. After nearly 3 months of negotiation disputes between the MLB and its Players Association, a truncated 2020 season will officially happen. Disputes got ugly over the last couple weeks, leading the league to release a statement basically saying that the Players Association was negotiating out of bad faith. That led the players to take to Twitter and basically just say, tell us when and where. And the owners voted for that to happen, for the season to happen. So Rob Manfred, MLB's commissioner, took the power given to him in the March 26th agreement and imposed a 60-game schedule. That'll get underway around July 24th, with all teams reporting to their home markets, their home stadium, for Spring Training 2.0. The agreement means that players will receive their fully prorated salaries, which was the biggest negotiating point for them. They had already agreed to take that pay cut, and the MLB was trying to get them to relinquish more of their pay. So all in all, that comes out to about 37% of their normal pay. Players agreed to report to camp and to the health and safety protocols. So the 60-game schedule, as I mentioned, will get underway around the 23rd or 24th with a normal playoffs and a universal designated hitter. I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, AL teams will have a bit of an advantage already having a specified designated hitter on their rosters. For NL teams like my Nats, it'll be a little bit more of a transition, but I think the Nats have good bats. That rhymed unintentionally. You know, you could have Michael A. Taylor be the designated hitter. On days when you want to get Howie Kendrick off his feet, he can hit DH. Eric Thames, left-handed bat, he can hit DH. Ryan Zimmerman, he can hit DH. But all this, what I wanted to ask on this was, is this a watered-down season? Does this water down baseball for you all? So I asked my good friend Jordan Bushrod.
What's going on, everybody? Jordan Bushrod, Delaware State University basketball alum, and I was just here to answer these questions in regards to my thoughts on a 60-game Major League Baseball season, and does this water down baseball? My first thought is I think the players voted to not go forward with it. The owners are going to proceed with it anyway. They don't care. But they're giving players like 40% of their salary. They have to report to camps by the 1st of July, and they're going to be tested like weekly or something like that. But I don't get what am I going to do with a 60-game schedule? You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge baseball fan. We want to be in the National Stadium. My family's been season ticket holders since the Nationals came back to D.C. and like it's nothing I can do with a 60-game season, man. That 30 home games, usually opposed to 81 home games. I can space it out. You know what I'm saying? I the idea of going sitting in a baseball arena. I got my 2 beers. I got my Ben's chili bowl. I'm having a blast. My Cracker Jack, my peanuts, and I'm having a good old time. And this is just it's no point. You know what I'm saying? 60-game season, average rotation. Like say 5 guys. So I get to see my ace start 12 games. I get to see 12 Max Scherzer games, and then is even a guarantee that he's going to want to pitch 12 times. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just it's just a lot. I think I don't know. Baseball, huge industry. All these games really matter. I think it's going to be a waste. I think it's going to be. I think the Major League Baseball just wants to say that okay, we hear something. I don't even know if they're going to be letting like fans into the games, like how they're going to work with this, with social distancing and all that stuff. So all this stuff just seems rushed and ill prepared. But I think the major thing is just maintaining player safety and the safety of their loved ones and the families and stuff like that, and all that stuff matters. So that's just my thought process for the most part.
So I'm actually go in the other direction. I think that a 60 game season for baseball will actually make it a little bit more exciting. Jordan said that he looks forward to going to games and whatnot, which baseball is America's pastime. But unfortunately, this season fans will not be allowed in the ballparks. So enjoy those brews and your popcorn and Cracker Jacks at home, my good guy. But I actually think a 60 game season will make each game count more. So you'll see less players resting. You'll see more players play the complete season. Hopefully injuries don't have too much of an impact. Obviously, injuries are unaccountable for. They always happen. They always take good teams out of the race, and they always make other teams that appear to be flying under the radar kind of up themselves. So I think it'll make each game matter more, and you'll actually see some more competitive baseball throughout the entire season. Moving on, the WNBA also announced its return to play plan that happened on June 15th. The season was initially slated to get underway on the 15th of May, but obviously the coronavirus pandemic has halted just about everything. Details haven't been completely ironed out, but there will be a late July start at the IGM Academy in Bradenton, Florida. There will be 22 games instead of the normal 36 after the WNBA upped its schedule 2 more games. It used to be 34, now it's 36, and they will have a normal playoff format. What that means for the Washington Mystics, obviously I have bias. I will say I don't watch WNBA that much. It was cool that they added them in 2K that allowed me to learn a little bit more about the WNBA and its good players. But the Washington Mystics, 2019 WNBA reigning champions, they lost their starting point guard, Christy Tolliver. She was obviously a big piece in their success, but they still have their MVP, Elena Deladon, and Finals MVP, Emma Misaman. Hopefully she comes back. But some players from the Mystics that aren't coming back, Natasha Cloud and Latoya Sanders, both opted out of the season. The official opt-out date for WNBA players is today, so there'll probably be much more along the line. But Natasha Cloud, a known activist, disclosed her reasoning, saying, "There are a lot of factors that led to this decision, but the biggest one is that I am more than an athlete. I have a responsibility to myself, to my community, and to my future children to fight for something that is much bigger than myself and the game of basketball. I will instead continue to fight for social reform because until Black lives matter, all lives can't matter." Preach, Natasha. I appreciate you for using your platform and for, missing out on the season and the money you would make. Actually, hopefully they still pay you. Missing out on the season to fight for what's right. God bless you. Moving on to the NBA, as most of you already saw, there's been a bit of a divide between its players, whether they should return amid the civil unrest. It all started out when Brooklyn Nets guard and The second vice president of the NBA PA, Kyrie Irving, said that he doesn't support going to Orlando and that he's not with systemic racism and the BS. He said something smells a little fishy and he'd rather work on the front lines in his community. Good for Kyrie. He wasn't going to be playing anyway as he's out for the season with the shoulder, but I definitely appreciate him taking his stand and for the players that followed suit. But Houston Rockets guard Austin Rivers gave his side of it. He said that he understood where Kyrie was coming from, but he was trying to find the correlation. He said, us coming back would put more money in NBA players' pockets, and with this money, we could help out even more. He said that providing entertainment for kids is important and also help keep some of the kids indoors watching basketball instead of getting in trouble due to unfair and unequal environments. He's saying he knows basketball isn't going to be the cure, but maybe it can help. He also mentioned that some players will end up needing the paychecks as well as CBA ramifications. If they didn't get this done, it would probably spell some disaster for the league as far as negotiations on their part. But I'm gonna give my take on it. I think it can be a distraction if you allow it to be a distraction. There was a really good article. I'm gonna put the link in the video description, but there's a really good article by Prince Grimes on NBC Sports Washington that gave a really good take on it. So I'm gonna put that in the video description, and if you guys want to check that out, take a look at it, feel free to. But going back to what Austin Rivers said, I really do think that it can be a good thing. You know, players will make money and they can use that money and their voice to affect change. Hopefully they use their time in Orlando to actually come up with something where their voices are being heard, which the league said they would. They released a memo saying they would, that their main focus in Orlando, other than playing basketball, will be on social justice reforms. But I just want to give a take on this. Sports may be a distraction in some cases, but I think for the African American community, the black community, this is kind of needed. I must say that a lot of black people probably navigate to sports because not many other avenues in life are built for us to be successful. So that's why you see so many black people navigating towards sports, because we're naturally good at them, and it's actually set up to where we can succeed without having to give up an arm and a leg. But that's my take, and I'm going to go to Jordan with his.
Let's see what we got here. It says, in regards to the NBA returning, which side am I on, and would a return be a distraction at a time like this? Well, we're in a little bit of a crossroads dealing with, institutional racism and oppression and the constant murders and police brutality and all these different things have, pulled people apart. My first thought of it is, if the coronavirus had not shut down everything, would we be not playing basketball because of the protests? And the answer is no. Sports will still be going on. And so I don't think it's a distraction, because you can still be pro-movement and go to your job every day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what happened the first time it was an incident like this with the Eric Gardner thing and players was wearing the I Can't Breathe shirts. You can still bring light to your protests and do your day job at the same time. I do think that things can be, modified to where there's light being brought to these incidents, being the use of commercials and, all types of advertisements with people putting their signs, respectively, like on the court, or small things like that can bring light to all these issues. For the most part, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I think Lou Williams, and I think it was another Clippers player that said something about how this is the league. You know, the percentage of African American players in the NBA is higher than I think any other sport. I think football and basketball have like it's in the 70s of percentage of players that are African American. So without the African American community and without these athletes, they wouldn't even be able to have the league. And you think about it, the best players in both leagues are black players. Just off the top of your head, LeBron. Well, in the NBA, it's not even a difference, but in the NFL, like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and guys of that stature are black players. So the leagues won't be able to function without black athletes anyway. But I think you can still play your sport. You can still do your job and be able to be productive in protesting and being vocal about issues that are going on today. The next question was that players have been opting out to go to the bubble in Orlando to play, and if that will have an effect on things. I think one of the first players to opt out was Dwight Howard. I saw Bertans from the Wizards, Trevor Ariza dealing with a custody issue with his child. Avery Bradley, one of his sons has like respiratory issues, so he wasn't going. So the first thought in my head, I'm a little bit biased. I'm a huge LeBron fan, and I'm like, LeBron needs to win this chip this year. In order to like solidify his legacy, LeBron's my GOAT anyway. But this fourth championship, I think he's going to be in a bit of an issue next year. So say they just cancel everything. It means we played this whole season for nothing. It means you wasted a year of LeBron's legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he obviously he's getting older. He's not going to be the same player. You say every year he's losing a step. So that's gonna affect him next year. So like, bro, I think I was like, we need this season to happen. That's one side of my brain. The other side of my brain is, okay, what about people's safety? The most important thing is, you got guys contracting this virus, bringing it on to their families and all that stuff. Like, people have, their lives. The coronavirus does have like a 0.2% mortality rate, which is still, far too high. We got to make sure that the different things are being monitored, and we can't have people just contracting this virus and dying and at the same time. So I do think that, for the most part, the NBA, money hungry organization, $1 billion corporation, these owners, all that stuff, want the league to happen, want the league to finish, just so we can say, okay, crown the champion. Even though the champion's gonna have an asterisk next to it, it's still, we can't not let anything happen. I think the idea of bringing like the 5 more teams from the West, and the Wizards don't have a chance in the world to get that 8th spot, in my opinion. And even if they did, they're gonna get washed by the Bucks in the first round. So like, it doesn't even matter. The 8th seed in either conference doesn't have a chance. They might steal a game. Doesn't even matter. I know the NBA really wants to see this Zion versus LeBron matchup. I don't think it's a point to it. I think it's pointless. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna have any effect. But you know what? Ratings, money, all that stuff matters. So like, I'm here for it. I'm cool with it. The main thing is not even just the player safety, but they're bringing their loved ones into this bubble with them as well, and that their safety matters. And one thing I did notice that I did like is, after teams are eliminated, of course, they're getting removed from the bubble immediately, and that's cool with me.
Thanks, Jordan. I definitely appreciate your take on that. Thank you for joining in with us. As he was saying, some of the players that opted out: Wizards forward Davis Bertans, Portland forward Trevor Ariza, and Lakers guard Avery Bradley. I wasn't 100% knowledgeable about the Dwight Howard situation, but I'll give my take on that. So obviously Dwight is a rotational piece for the Lakers, and is part of that depth in the front court that makes them so dangerous, that length that they have. So missing that piece will definitely affect them in that way. But as far as Avery Bradley, obviously a big piece for them as well. But I think that might actually end up helping them a little bit. You have the GOAT himself, Alex Caruso. He'll get some more minutes, although 80% of his minutes in the season had already come with Avery Bradley off the floor. He'll probably get some more minutes with Avery Bradley opting out. I like his reason as well, as far as as far as wanting to be with his family and the health and safety of his family, as well as, he's part of the players coalition that Kyrie Irving kind of brought together, who wanted to unify. But Trevor Ariza, him opting out kind of hurts Portland. I know they're getting Yusuf Nurkic back, but Trevor Ariza is one of their best defenders, and obviously defense wins championships. And as far as the Wizards, Jordan was right. With Davis opting out and with them already not being one of the better teams, their chances are probably done. So what I do look forward from the Wizards is an opportunity for their players, their younger players, to get more experience. The guys like Isak Bonga, guys like Jerome Robinson, some guys like that, just getting more playing time. We signed Jerian Grant from our G League affiliate. He's the son of Harvey Grant, also a ball boy, back in his younger days for the Wizards Bullets franchise. But another thing that came out of this was positive tests for coronavirus. Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic and Indiana Pacers guard Malcolm Brogdon were among the 16 players to test positive for the coronavirus. I think Nikola Jokic could be the biggest one, as he is in his native country of Serbia right now, and his positive test is going to delay his return to the States. So that could end up being a big detriment to the Nuggets. Moving on. The NFL over the past couple of weeks announced a plan to commit $250 million to combat systemic racism. In the ESPN special that happened on June 15th, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke on Colin Kaepernick returning to the league, saying if he wants his career in the NFL, then obviously it's going to take a team to make that decision, but he welcomes and supports that. Getting on to why I brought that up in the first place, Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll said that the team should have signed Colin Kaepernick after their workout in 2017. Washington Redskins senior VP of player development Doug Williams said that the team's proximity to D.C. and Donald Trump made the decision difficult for them. And LA Chargers coach Anthony Lynn said Colin Kaepernick definitely fits their style of quarterback. They have a lot on their roster, but you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, basically. I really just want to address Pete Carroll saying that he should have signed him. What good does saying that now do to the fact that Colin Kaepernick is still not in the league? And as far as the Redskins, the Washington derogatory slur, come on, man. That sounds like an excuse. I feel like the Redskins probably would have been the best scenario. Obviously, we had when Alex Smith went down with his injury, and then we signed Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson, guys who hadn't been playing football, and the same amount of time that Colin Kaepernick hadn't. You're saying that those guys were better fits for the system than Colin Kaepernick, a guy who led his team to the Super Bowl? And as far as the proximity to 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Black Lives Matter Plaza, that probably would have been the best scenario. Make number 45 as uncomfortable as you possibly can. That would have been the best scenario to go with. but obviously that hasn't happened. I'm still looking for my fraternity brother to get another shot in the NFL. So keep fighting the good fight, Colin. Since you deserve a job in the NFL, it should be coming soon. God bless you. Another thing that happened around sports was the removal of a lot of statues of racially charged historic figures. The Carolina Panthers removed the statue of one of their owners. I'm not 100% sure the story behind him, but the Minnesota Twins of the MLB, formerly the Washington Senators, the first iteration of the Senators, their owner, Calvin Griffith, they removed his statue from in front of the stadium out in Minneapolis because he was quoted as saying he moved the team from Washington, D.C. to Minnesota because black people don't go to ball games, but they fill up a wrestling ring and put up such a chant it'll scare you to death. We came here because you've got good, hardworking white people. So, that's hurtful. That's the reason why baseball left DC to begin with. Obviously, they got another team with the Senators 2.0 in 1961, but they ended up leaving as well. I apologize. No, I'm right. I was about to backtrack saying that this was Senators 2, but no, I was right the first time. This is Senators 1. So it hurt that the reason they left was because they had a racist owner. But getting on to racist owners and the district itself, Washington derogatory slur removed the statue of their first owner, George Preston Marshall, as well as removed his name from the Ring of Honor. He was a known racist and didn't allow black players on his team. In fact, the Skins were the last team to integrate in 1961. Another important iteration of that date. But following this, the team announced the retiring of Bobby Mitchell's number 49. Bobby Mitchell, of course, was the first black player to play for the Washington derogatory slurs after George Preston Marshall had passed, and league owners as well as Congress had pretty much forced Washington to integrate. He recently passed away on April 5th. So God bless Bobby Mitchell, and I'm glad to see another number retired for the Skins. The only other number retired in the history is Sammy Ball's number 33. My question to myself is, do the recent actions point to them changing their name? Hopefully. I'm gonna be as optimistic as possible. I'd love to see them change it. I don't have any thoughts of what they could change it to. So my video cut out. Didn't realize till after I finished. Not gonna lie, I didn't feel like setting my microphone back up, so I'm gonna just give it to you guys raw. No sexual innuendo intended, but I left off saying that I don't know what the Skins could change their name to, but I'm hopeful that they will. And actually, they received some urging from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, saying that the name is a major roadblock in them getting a stadium back to D.C. So hopefully they do that. I'd love to see a stadium in D.C. and I'd love to see a name change. It just doesn't feel the same calling them the Washington team when they're based in Landover, Maryland. But moving forward, a lot of coronavirus spikes going on, especially around sports. You had 23 Clemson players test positive. You had 3 players for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the NHL. You had the MLB shut down its spring training camps in Florida. This was before their agreement and moving it back to their home markets. You also had PGA Tour pro Nick Watney testing positive after he had already teed off for an event. So it is kind of disturbing, not just for humanity, but for a possible return to sports. Is it's starting to look like this could all be just paperwork. Maybe we won't get back to sports after all. But I'm gonna remain in good faith. You know, leagues have said these positive tests are inevitable, and an NBA commissioner Adam Silver has even come out and said that if there are a significant spikes in amount of tests, positive tests, that they will stop play. So, especially with Florida being a hotbed right now, and a few of these restarts happening in Florida. You've got the NBA, you've got the WNBA, and you've got MLS. There goes my nephew crying. Uh, but I just wanted to wrap things up with the Bubba Wallace story out of NASCAR. A noose was found in his garage stall at Talladega on Sunday, June 21st. Um, an FBI investigation that followed found that it wasn't a hate crime. So I guess if there's any good news in finding a noose, it would be that. Any more information you want on that? I actually wrote an article, and if I can figure out a way to put that in the video description, I will. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of What's the Word. God bless, and special shout out to Jordan. Thank you for doing this for me, brother. God bless.